Hey everybody, it's David W. Stock here. Happy Sunday. I hope you're exercising your right to be spiritual today and however you do that. I'm very open-minded about my spiritual beliefs, and so I kind of do my own thing. I don't necessarily belong to a specific religion anymore, but that doesn't mean that I'm not spiritual. So maybe someday we can talk about my spiritual beliefs. But today I want to talk to you about the Wheel of Life. So the Wheel of Life is the tool that I'm going to use to give myself a visual representation of where my entire life is at. It's like the 20,000 foot view when you just look at it and you just see that some things are going well and some things aren't. So the first thing that I do is I arrange all of the parts of my life into categories. And so I've done that, and I shared yesterday the Google Sheets Wheel of Life. And so you guys are going to be able to follow that link and watch literally live while I'm changing my scores in it. And so, but let's just go through the categories real quick. So these are the categories that work for me in my life. When I learned about this Wheel of Life tool, I found out that it has been around for quite a while. And there's a lot of different models, I guess, to how people have used it. And everyone who teaches it seems to have their own idea of what it should look like. And I have my own idea of what I thought mine should look like. I have seen anywhere from 5 to 12 different categories. I always felt like 12 was a little too complicated for me to be able to track or anything like that. This is kind of the first tool that I ever really used to track on a regular basis how my life was going, and so it's pretty handy. I made categories that worked for me, but I also modeled someone else's Wheel of Life first, and so but I made a modification to it, a tweak, and so that it just made more sense to me. And I invite you to, if you've never used it before, feel free to use mine the way it is. And if you want to tweak it or modify it, it's all yours. So when you follow that link, you have a view only access to this, but you can make a copy of it. If you go under File, Make a Copy, you should be able to make your own copy in Google Sheets, and then you can do whatever you want with it. It's all yours. So I made a couple changes to it this morning just so that it flows with what's going to be happening here in the next few weeks. So I'll just go through the categories here real quick. So psychology is the first category. I rearranged the order of these to follow the day of the week that I'm going to be working on it. And so I feel like Monday is a good day to work on psychology, just to set you up for success for the rest of the week, right? So that's why psychology is on top on Monday. Psychology is 80% of your success, isn't it? That's what they say. And so once you have your category there, then you can give yourself a score, a current score, and then the ideal is out of 10. So if your ideal, so psychology to me is made up of two of the three M's. The three M's are mindset, motivation, and method. And I've always found that method was always the easiest one to find if you didn't know how to do something or you wanted to achieve something. It always seemed like the methods are available. Google search. But you have to have the mindset and the motivation to do it. So the mindset is believing that it's possible. Motivation is believing that you must do it. That's pretty much the simplest forms of definitions for mindset and motivation. So mindset and motivation is your psychology, how you think positively or negatively, or what kind of beliefs you have, or what kind of beliefs you form, or what kind of meanings you associate to certain events that happen in your life. All of that is psychology. And so when I think about my psychology, I have pretty good psychology. I think I was born an optimist, a positive thinker, and that has helped me a lot through my life. And I've done a lot of work as well on my psychology, so I feel like my psychology is pretty good. Having said that, the time that we've just went through has not been fantastic, and all of the things that I just talked about my psychology are more related to mindset than they are to motivation. And so the mindset for me has never been that much of a problem, but the motivation has been, and it is. I'm being 100% real with you. I promised you guys I'd be real, so this is it. So the motivation, I've always had a little bit of a difficulty being able to connect, to stay connected to my why. One of the things that I'm starting to change now is the belief that I have to be pulled to my goals. I've always hated discipline, and even the word discipline. But I'm starting to see now that, because I always felt that, wouldn't it be ideal if we were just pulled to our goals? Wouldn't it be ideal if everything was just sunshine and roses all the time and we just went towards what we want? And that is a fantastic world to live in, but it doesn't seem to be real. It's not, it hasn't served me, I know that. And so I've started to change my beliefs a little bit, and that's actually part of what the 90-day challenge is all about. There are actually two forces that drive human behavior, not just one. And so, while I always felt that it would be great to be just driven or pulled towards my ultimate goals by, that positive image of what the result will be, but I've always struggled with that because of the pain that lies between me and my goal, the mountain that I have to overcome. And so that's the second factor that drives human behavior. And so it's pain. Avoidance of pain. We like to go towards pleasure, and we like to go away from pain. But I think I have discovered recently that the force that drives us away from pain is stronger than the force that drives us towards pleasure. So I'm going to start to use that a little more in my life. So my psychology is strong in the mindset and not as strong in the motivation. So that's one area that I have to work on. If I was going to break this down into two categories, that's what I would do. I would change it into mindset and motivation. But I like to keep it in just one. I don't like to have too many categories. So you do you. But with that being said, I think it's fair to give myself a score. Well, I know I'm more than 5, but I'm less than 8. I don't think I'm quite a 7. I think I'm going to give myself a 6. I'm going to give myself a 6. So 6 out of 10. This is just kind of a first blush of, just like an off the top of the head sort of analysis today. And then I'm going to go a little deeper into it tomorrow probably, and I might change some of these scores a little bit. But a 6 out of 10, and then so ultimately what I want from this 90-day challenge is to get everything to an 8 if I can, and have a nice round wheel in 90 days or less of 8s, 8 out of 10 in everything. Wouldn't that be great? And just like a few months, that would be amazing. It would be amazing. That's what I consider to be like the highest realistic goal that I could set. So I'm at a 6 in psychology, and how do I get to an 8 is by really working on the motivation side. Okay, career. Career is an interesting one for me. I was an oil and gas guy until quite recently. And it's not just COVID-19, it's the massive crash in oil prices. It's Saudi Arabia flooding the oil markets. There's a lot of reasons, but I basically I got to a point where, during the lockdown, people were saying things that in your career, you have to pivot when things like this happen. Well, when I think of pivoting, I think of a basketball player on a break, and he is forced to stop breaking by the defenders, and he's forced to stop dribbling, but he's not quite ready to make the pass or the shot. And so he has to pivot in order to protect the ball, so he can still move a little bit, but he has to keep one foot planted. That's pivoting to me. He still has one foot planted. And so I don't feel like pivoting is that relevant to that career for me. I think, or to my life really, I think what I needed more than to pivot was to make a quantum leap. I feel like if I'm that basketball player, then I didn't just get stopped from making the fast break. The whole stadium is empty now. Everybody's gone, and I'm left here holding the ball. There's nobody to pass to, and there's nothing to shoot at, and the caretaker's already shutting the lights off. So I have to make a leap. I have to get right out of that stadium. That's how I feel about my career right now. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. So that doesn't get now. So I've started a website, and I've done some things in what used to be kind of a side hustle, but it's not there yet, and it's got a long ways to go, and it needs to happen in a hurry. But having said that, some things have already started to happen, so I'm pretty hopeful about it, but I can't give it any kind of a high score at the moment. I need to be real about what it is and where it is, and so for my career, I'm going to score myself a 3. It's a pretty low score. But I think it fits. So let's just move on to physical health. I don't know why I just felt like Wednesday would be the day to work on physical health. So my physical health has been kind of a roller coaster over the last decade or so. I I had some really unhealthy habits between high school and 39. And when I turned 39, I started running. And I found out right away that it's really hard to be a runner and a smoker. So 6 months after I started running, I quit smoking, and then so I've been gradually taking on better habits, but it hasn't been a straight line. It's been up and down. In 2014, I did something really great for my physical health. I put a team together, a relay team, and we ran in a 125-kilometer race in the mountains called the Canadian Death Race. And so that was great. What a great thing to do for yourself. So I had to run some half marathons to get in shape for that. And my part of the 125 kilometers was 19 kilometers. It was a little terrainy, not too bad. It was hot. It was 28 degrees that day, Celsius, and but I have the coin here that our team got for finishing the race. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. And actually, for my gratitude post yesterday, that's what that picture is from. That's the kids waiting for me to finish that race. So so that was kind of the peak of my physical health. And then in 2015, a lot of things started to happen in my life that made me focus on other things, not my physical health as much, and it's never been the same since. And then in 2017, I think it was, I delaminated a little bit of cartilage in my right knee, so that was excruciatingly painful and made it really difficult to run. I still have pain in my knee, and I don't run as much as I used to. So this year, I've been trying to recover from that cartilage delamination for a few years, and but I have decided, I've always had the goal of taking my endurance to the next level, from the half marathon level that I was at to the marathon level. And so I would like to complete a marathon. That's going to be one of my goals for this year. I started training for a marathon earlier in the year, and with the first part of the lockdown, it was easy to train because I had lots of time. So I did my training, and it was good, but I really pushed it. I was gunning to run a marathon in a month, and I don't recommend that to anybody. I don't know what I was thinking. I know better than that too, but I think I just, because of everything else was crumbling in the world at that time, I just wanted to do something great just right then and there. And I overdid it a little bit. I've learned in the decade or so that I've been running to be able to see the signs of injury, because I've had a few injuries from overuse and overtraining and stuff like that. So I seen it coming, and I stopped, and I didn't injure myself, but I took some time off, and I never started again. And so that was like 6 weeks ago. But having said that, the marathon is back on the table for 2020. It's going to be part of the 90-day challenge, and I can do the things that I need to do. I think I think my body is going to be capable if I just do the right things. I don't think the knee is going to be an issue. I broke my toe the other day, so that was pretty. I'm going to post a picture of that later. I stubbed my toe on the couch, so there's that. But I've been taping that up every day, and it's pretty good. So I don't think that's going to stop me from running a marathon in the next few months here. But so my physical health isn't bad. I'm definitely overweight. I was 261 again this morning. And So that's too heavy to run a marathon. I got to drop a few pounds, but the pounds will start to melt away when I start to train too. But I do need to get back into it. I'm proud of myself for getting partway through a marathon in a month training, even though I stopped. I haven't run 17 kilometers since I injured my knee until this year, and that was due to that marathon and a month training. So it wasn't all bad. So physical health. So I think I'm gonna give myself a 6 because I'm not in terrible shape, but I'm not in marathon shape. And then the ultimate goal, to get to a 10 is going to be an ultra marathon, and so it'll be over 100 kilometers. That's going to be the ultimate goal. So marathon is 42.2. I think if I get the marathon done in the next few months, I'll be able to give myself an 8 in physical health. I think that's a fair assessment. Relationships. So I lost a long-term relationship this year. It probably needed to end anyways, and I think I'm fully healed from that now. That was a few months ago. I feel like I'm in a pretty good place where I could be a good partner. I think I'm very close to being ready, but one of the things I do want to do is get this 90-day challenge off the ground first and get some progress happening in all these areas of my life before I invite someone into my life again. And the other thing is, the relationships category is not just about your intimate partner, it's about everyone that's in your life. Every human that you've ever had any kind of interaction with, you have a relationship with them. Even if it's a comment on Facebook, that's a relationship. And so it's not a big part of that category if it's just a Facebook comment, but it's still something that you need to be mindful of. I think I try to be, if I put comments on Facebook, I try to be helpful whenever possible rather than just critical, you know. And so I have relationships with my family and with my kids, and one of the things that's happening right now is I have my 14-year-old daughter who wants to move in to my home and go to school in my city, and so it seems like that her mother is probably going to fight that, and so that's a thing, and it's a big thing, and I have to put that in the relationships category because there's no place else to put it. So my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with my ex, my relationship with my other ex, those are all part of this. And so some of those relationships are obviously struggling, and I'm not in an intimate relationship at all, even though I feel like I'm a good partner or would be a good partner. So there's lots of room for improvement there. I'm not a 0, but I'm not an 8. So where am I? I think if I was in an intimate relationship, in a good intimate relationship, I could score myself higher, but since there's that, and then the turmoil that I have with my exes, I think I'm gonna have to make it a 3. It has to be real. By the way, I'm gonna score myself at the end of this challenge how many points I made, how many points I increased on this. and it would be super easy for me to cheat on this and just score everything at a 0. But it has to be real, right? If I cheat on this, who am I cheating? My own life. Cheating my own life. That doesn't sound like something that I want to do. So, finances. So, finances are the part of my life that are not my income, but my assets and my liabilities, my balance sheet, my my profit and loss statement is more along the lines of my income, but this is my balance sheet. And so my finances have not grown for a while, for a few years. And so that's one issue. I know that there's a few things that I need to be doing in there too. I do have some assets, but I also have some liabilities that are not healthy liabilities. And so when you have unhealthy liabilities, it affects your finances in a bad way. So in a way, I'm kind of proud of some of the things that I've done in my past with my finances. Some of the investments that I've made that are not necessarily growing, but that are stable. And I have a couple pieces of real estate as well that I'm proud to have them. They're not ideal. I made some mistakes with the real estate that I own, for sure. Definitely I've made some mistakes there. But choosing real estate as a vehicle was a super smart decision. So I think I'm going to give myself a 5 on my finances. There's definitely room for improvement. How am I going to get to an 8? How am I going to get to an 8 in my finances in just a few months? That's one I'm going to have to think about. So the next 2 categories are both about spirituality. Growth and contribution are kind of a yin and yang pair that go together, that make up your spirituality. So growth is almost any kind of learning, even like learning to play guitar, for example, which I started a couple of years ago playing guitar, and so I've been working on that pretty much daily. When I first picked up a guitar, I had no idea that it was going to be hard to put it down. Even when my fingers hurt, I still want to play. It's been quite a thing in my life. I had no idea it was going to be like that, or I would have got one a long time ago. I've only been playing for a couple of years, and I have not taken a lesson, but I've learned a lot from it, and I really enjoy it. But growth is that kind of learning a new instrument, a new language, taking going after a degree in college or university. Any kind of personal development is growth. And so growth is one of the ways that we contribute to ourselves. I do an enormous amount of personal development, and also there's my guitar, so there's that. I'm really pretty happy with where I'm at with growth. I think I'm going to give myself a 7. in growth. That's a pretty high score. I'm going to think about what I have to do to get it to an 8. It won't be a huge thing though, other than the things that I'm already doing. contribution is how we give. So that's why I put it on Sundays. So it sort of matches up with all you spiritual people. Contribution is such a fulfilling part of life. It's important too, and I think that it gets forgotten a lot, especially in this day and age. And I know that I have ignored it for a long time too, and it's time for that to change. There are ways that I contribute every day. I contribute to my family. I contribute to my friends. I contribute to my career when I have a, when I'm going strong in my career, I'm really contributing. So that's how contribution sort of infiltrates every other area of your life. Even with, for example, your physical health, you can have growth in your physical health, but you can also have contribution in your physical health, especially if you're happen to be like a wellness coach or something like that. So that would be one way to contribute in that area of your life. So those two areas both kind of are in every other area, but it's important to track them so that we understand how we're doing there. It's part of this all of these categories just make up your whole life. They make up your whole life. So it's important. So how much do I contribute? How much do I contribute? Well, not contributing as much as I'd like to in my career, my physical health, or my relationships, or my finances for that matter. I don't have a regular charitable contribution that I make or anything like that at the moment. If I had an intimate relationship, then I probably would score my contribution score a little higher, but it's definitely something that I need to find ways to contribute, and this group is one of those ways, but I need to find more. I think let's go with a 5 for now. I'm thinking about 6 or 5, but I'm not really sure. I'm not doing decimal points on this, but if you guys want to on yours, give her. You can take it to the 1,000th if you want. You can, but for me, I just want it to be a nice round number. So, so I'm going to give it a 5. So there's a 5. Okay, so that's all filled out. So, starting tomorrow, I'm going to come on live every day, and I'm going to change one of the scores on this Wheel of Life. So you'll be able to see that live if you have the sheet open. You'll see me on video doing it, but if you have the sheet open on your laptop or whatever, you'll literally be able to watch the number change when I change it. And so Monday is going to be psychology. So tomorrow, I'm not going to change any scores in the week to come unless I make an adjustment to the starting score. But this is going to be the starting score, and I'm going to set the goals over the next week. On Monday, I'm going to set some goals around my psychology and emotions, and go from there. Tuesday, career, and so forth. And then the week after that, I'm going to go back to psychology, and I'm going to talk about what I did in the past week with my psychology and emotions, how I met my goals, or how I learned, or what happened with that. And then I'm going to make an adjustment to the score or not. And we're going to go from there. So that's the tracking part of it. And then, but there's going to be more. So tomorrow I'm going to start, actually today I'm going to post some of the worksheets. You're going to see the units start to come up. There's going to be a unit for every area of my life here, and then there's going to be a weekly post in each area. So that's how that's going to go. So I'm glad you guys are along for this ride. It's going to be quite a deal. Quite a deal. Tomorrow's going to be so exciting, and I can't wait to dig into these worksheets and get some goals and get my life back on the rails here. All right. Thanks for joining me today. I know you guys are busy with church and everything, but happy Sunday. Enjoy your day. Talk to you soon.